today's topic is milking the cow. Alright, so as many as you know have known, many companies are making the desperate attempt at rebooting a franchise, or especially in the horror genre, they're, keep bringing these movies back, and like, for example, Saw, had a long run, and then with its attempt last year with the Jigsaw film in 2017, and it just didn't work, for me anyway. And with other films like Alien, even Predator recently came out, The Predator, and everyone hates that, it seems, and which I'm not going to see it, because I heard terrible things, and it's this long into the franchise, so I'm good. And they're even going to the extremes of going from film to Netflix just to keep a brand or company going and selling, which we'll get back to that later. Now, I realize a lot of people might be into the, trend of retelling old stories, classic horror films and all that, but I, for one, am just fine with leaving things to the way they are. The thing is, when you're retelling a once already told story that was done perfectly, there's no need to redo it, and they're doing it. Now, me personally, I'm not one for milk franchises. I usually like 2 films in the franchise, and that's it, or luckily, I like the 3rd or 4th. But people keep wanting more and more from that franchise to where eventually it's like a shirt, it'll end up tearing or ripping to where it's in no use no more. But usually with an original film, if it's, a great story, that's the thing, the story's so good, it keeps you wanting more, but once you get more, it ends up being less in the long run. And they keep bringing up sequels, prequels, midquels, and reboots, remakes. But if you can't expand on that with a sequel or whatever you're trying to attempt, what's the point? It's just gonna keep on going and going and going until you got nothing left, where you're at the bottom of the barrel. So again, if they can expand the story and then, get more depth to the characters that the first one didn't have time to, or even the story, then you're just rehashing the same shit over and over and over. And again, there's fans that like to continue a franchise, and that's all fine with them. That's all fine. I don't judge. We all have our different opinions. I have mine, you have yours. It's not a big deal. It's just movies. To some. But to others, it's more to where you don't want more, because you just want it to end on a good note, basically. But usually, the story is, just worth it, and fine the way it is, just being told by one film, half the time, usually. And there'll be some films that I want to see more of, but eventually you gotta realize they'll run out of ideas, and then, like with the Halloween series, they went totally off their rockers with that one, which some like it, which is fine, but I, however, do not. But what I was saying is, if they can't improve the story, then not bother, but if they can improve it and bring more depth to the characters and more of a story to the storyline that was first told, then by all means, go for it, But otherwise, it's just really a cash grab, basically, or just a people attempt at making another franchise to make even more monies. Me money! And then there's some fans like me that really care about the original source material so much that we want it to be done at the best of their ability, if it's going to be done at all. That's it. The point I'm trying to make here is that, there's those classic films that are great, but just leave them where they are, because, now it's 2018 and there's room for original stories, but we just don't get it. We just get more of the same thing. Same story, same plot, and it's all very predictable. And with the classics, just let it be a classic. Why drag it on to where later on it'll leave a sour taste in your mouth, or, Why can't we let it end on a good note at least? You know? Cliffhangers aren't always a bad thing. Like, some might not like them, but it's not always a bad thing for someone to not know how it's going to end, really, or what's going to happen next. Leave it up to their imagination to wonder and find out in their mind what's going to happen. Now, as for TV shows go, like Stranger Things, like, it's a really good show, except, it does go off of the 80s nostalgia, like of 80s films like Poltergeist and E.T.'s and others. But it mixes them all together and makes a cohesive story, and characters are really good, and it's funny at some degree. So it's a different story, but it's something we have seen before. But if they can give it a little more originality, that would be great too. But again, with Psycho, they had sequels to those. I didn't like any of them, honestly. The second one wasn't too bad. It wasn't nowhere near as good as the original. But then they made Bates Motel, and that show I thought it was great. The acting was really great. The story was good. By the first season, it was kind of blah because it focused more on the townspeople than the actual Bates family. But then later on, the story unravels and gets a deeper meaning to the story and everything, and it's just really well done. But to me personally, I probably would have done the mother scenes in black and white, but that's just me. To kind of pay homage and tribute to the original. And even with Bates Motel, they knew what they had and they knew what they were going for, and they did it great. But they also knew not to drag it out too much, so they ended it on season 5 to end on a good note, and that's a really smart, clever thing to do, which most TV shows do not do. Now, as far as the new 2018 Halloween film coming up, October 19th, it's basically going off of the nostalgia from the old films, and basically doing what H2O did, which was ignoring all the previous Halloweens, which is a really clever idea, which they're going for that, and this new film, except they are changing the story a bit, and since the franchise itself wasn't, didn't fit well for me anyways, I'm actually accepting of this new one to try it, because, the original cast is back, and John Carpenter, which is a major plus, and it looks like they're going the right route of what the original did, so here's hoping. But I want them to fix basically what was done wrong with the Halloween sequels with this new film, which H2O pretty much did that for me. I know the masks were messed up in the movie and all that, but aside from that, the story is solid. The acting is really well done. You got Michelle Williams, Josh Hartnett, Jessica Rabbit for like a few brief seconds, but then Jamie Lee Curtis is at her best in this movie, I think. And they're going this other route in the 2018 film. It's the opposite of what they went for in H2O, which is, good, don't want the same character, but at the same time, it's Laurie Strode, still the same character, just a different take on the character. So I'm going to be open-minded to it. I usually try to give these movies a chance, because I do attempt to, very rarely try to make it better, but usually it fails, but, we'll see. I'm not going to be ignorant about it. But I'm okay with, Michael escaping again, even though I've already seen it. But, history does, after all, repeat itself, so, it could be realistic. Sometimes I might see it, sometimes I won't, just depending on what grabs me and what doesn't, I guess, like what the looks like and what if it is reminiscent to the old original films or not. So what are your thoughts on the whole situation with, reboots and all the bringing back of the horror, even any other genre film really? All I'm saying basically is that I just want the best for the originals. I don't want them to have a low knowledge of, I don't want someone to direct the film or series if they're not even a fan of the movie. I want them to take it into their heart and do the best they can, and improve on the story, as I said several times in this review. But yeah, let me know what you think, and get back at me.